What's going on, everybody? Welcome in. Woodward Bets in the house on a Thursday. I am Beer, joined as always by Scott. Scott, how we doing? As you can tell, we have a Green Bay game tonight. I know this is a Metro Detroit-based show, but got to stay true to my team. So a little worried how this game's going to go, but we'll certainly cover that tonight. Scott, how are you, my man?
I knew you would have your Green Bay stuff on, so I had to combat with my Lions stuff. I know, we don't really stand much of a chance when we play each other, but being an NFL Thursday, it's a fun week. We got rivalry week. Spitting that one out. It's them leaves. It's them leaves still getting me there. But
blame the leaves.
yeah, there we go. So yeah, I mean, it's been a fun week so far. We got that big, huge game for that Paul Bunyan Trophy out there in East Lansing this weekend. I've always been a Michigan fan myself, so been a lot of shit talk going back and forth with the fellas. So it's a lot of fun. But I gotta mention that new little beautiful backdrop you got there. That looks nice. I have to give kudos to our boys over there at Signorama in Garden City. Greg over there. That thing looks nice. So just wanted to comment on that. But yeah, everything else is going great.
Yeah, big thanks to them. I feel like the Jeffersons. I'm moving on up. We started with just the blank basement, and then we had a little Tiger Stadium action, and now it feels official. We're Woodward Bets, so we're looking good back here. So thank you to those guys for sure. Garden City Sign, appreciate it tremendously. So any sign needs, make sure you guys go and check them out. Do some great work for sure. So really appreciate that. But Scott, like you mentioned, we got a lot to get through here today. We got the big Michigan State rivalry, as you called it. I don't even know how you said that, but it is a tough word. It trips you. Rivalry. So we'll talk more about that as we close in on Saturday. Of course, make sure you guys join us every Saturday morning. Scott and I go through the entire top 25 slate and try to find some of our favorite bets there. So the best bet's been on fire, Scott. We'll talk more about that, but make sure you guys are joining us for that. Friday, we take your sit-start questions. So all you have to do, get over to @Woodward Bets on Twitter and send us your questions. What are you stuck on? Do I start Kenneth Gainwell this week? Do I continue to roll out Robbie Anderson week after week? So we're here to help you out through those questions. I play in about a 1.7 million leagues. That's not an exaggeration. Scott plays in a ton of leagues. So let us help you out again @Woodward Bets. We do that every single Friday afternoon. So Scott, let's get into things here today. Just kind of a general recap what we saw yesterday. Let's start with the World Series. We saw Houston come out and really even this thing up, put a ton of runs on the board. Exactly. Nailed it. Houston evens it up. So a little break from the World Series here, but thoughts on game two, some of our bets. How do we do last night? Let's do a little recap in baseball to start.
Yeah, baseball didn't go so well for us last night. I had the first five, obviously, with the Braves, and that didn't go so well. They gave up those 5 singles in that, what was that, second inning or something like that. They got 4 runs on us. But hey, it's on today. I mean, I did bet it in 6, so obviously the Astros were going to have to win a couple games. I just thought with Max Fried on the hill, and they got to him early, so kudos to them. I really thought I had a single game parlay with his over 6 Ks. I thought Max, with being a lefty hard thrower, I thought the 6 Ks was easily attainable, but fell one short. But obviously, without winning that first 5, it wasn't getting anywhere. But we're looking forward to the next break, because now we head down to Atlanta.
Right, and baseball didn't go so well from us, so we're not going to hide from the bad days as well. But it wasn't all bad. NBA 3-0 last night, baby. So the roll continues. I know you were on Atlanta. I had a couple totals that I really liked. So all 3 ended up playing out as we expected. So we'll give you some more best bets in the NBA. 9-1, Scott, this week on NBA. So we're running hot. Let's continue that run, but you're only as good as today. So we're not going to live in the past. We're going to try to continue to find you guys more and more winners. So hopefully you guys have been on the ride for that. So we'll get into some NBA talk. We got 6 games on the slate today. We got Michigan State. We'll talk more about that. Scott, I know there's also another little project that you're kind of heading up here for the Michigan State game. So why don't you let the people know what we got coming for the big game? Because everybody loves to bet it. I just had a fundraiser for my daughter's softball team with some squares for the game. So there's a lot of ways to go. But what are we doing special here for the people for Michigan State game?
Well, I put together a little betting trend doc, just a bunch of stats and all that fun stuff that sports bettors like to look at. So we're getting that all doctored up. We're going to put that out on the Woodward Sports Network page. So we'll post that up there for the people. I mean, just, little tidbits that might help influence you on whatever way. But you know what, Chris? This is a rivalry game. You already pretty much know what you're betting. It doesn't really matter about all those stats. It's still fun to talk about, though. But the big one for me is Michigan's 1-11 against the spread in the last 13 with the tie. But so obviously us Michigan fans are hesitant about betting on our team in a lot of these big situations because it's then double frustrating when they lose. But still looking forward to the game. But yeah, we're going to put out a little document. We'll get it out there, short little. Oh, there's all kinds of little trends and tidbits and stuff that you might find useful. But we'll get that up there probably in the next day or so. But we'll put it up there, hopefully today.
So I got to ask you, were you surprised by this line? I initially, my buddies were trying to figure out what's it going to be. I thought it would be Michigan State actually favored here by 3. I figured the home field would be the advantage. Other than that, these two teams are pretty even. So to say the least, I was surprised when it came out as Michigan -4 here. It's kind of held there. FanDuel sitting at 3.5. Everywhere else, it's sitting at 4. Was that a shock to you? I know you're a Michigan fan, so leave the bias out of it. Feels like these two teams are pretty evenly matched. I mean, Michigan maybe has played a little bit tougher schedule, you could say, but I was kind of surprised it was in that big of a line in favor of Michigan here on the road.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I did the same thing before the line came out, and I actually thought the spread would be close to an even because – I mean, we all kind of know with sports better, the home team already pretty much has the 3 points kind of built in for you. So, I mean, they're looking at the Sparties in realistically as a 7-point dog on a neutral field. And I kind of got a hard time with that. I would not, I mean, if I was not so invested as being a Wolverine fan, I can't bet against my team, but 7 points, I think that's a little bit ridiculous. But the 4 as it stands, I mean, you could even push that up to 10 if you wanted in a tease, which I think, I do not think this game is going to be won by more than 10 points from either side. But really, I think this game is a really tough game to bet because in reality, in my opinion, as we see in a lot of NFL games, this game may be differentiated by 3 different type plays: a kick return, a punt return, a big play, a touchdown fumble return, or a punt, like interception return. 1 or 2 of those plays, I think, is going to be the whole difference in this game. So, I mean, both teams can run the ball well. The Spartans do seem to throw a little bit better. I know Michigan getting a lot of slack for not throwing it downfield, but I mean, the kid's a game manager. He's just trying to win games out there. Obviously, both teams are undefeated. So, but I will say, though, I mean, being a fan of Michigan, Chris, I here's the deal. I think both teams are truly a fraud, to be honest. I don't really feel as if either one got in the playoffs, they would stand a chance against maybe even the second or even third best SEC team. I just think, they're beating up on each other. The Big Ten is kind of weak as a whole. If you ask me if I think both teams would have a chance to beat the Buckeyes, I couldn't tell you that. I think maybe one of them would have a chance to beat the Buckeyes this year, but I don't think both are. I just think this game here, hey, we're 7-0. It's a rivalry game between the home state. But on a national level, I really don't think either one of these teams can compete with the top level teams that we see out there, the Georgias, the Bamas, and stuff like that. So, but I just want to have fun this weekend, watch the game, and there'll be some shit talking for sure, going back and forth. But which is what the fun is all about. But keep it friendly. Keep it friendly.
All right, always keeping it friendly. So we'll talk more about that game again. Our Saturday show, we'll cover this one in depth. But total-wise, we're sitting anywhere between 50 and 51, depending on your books. Looks like about 2/3 of the bets coming in on the under in this game. And if you're thinking Michigan State wins this one, the money line maybe for you plus 160 at the majority books out there, which means you're getting 160 for every $100 you bet if you want to go that route. So, again, we'll cover this one top to bottom as we get closer to Saturday. I also want to thank the sponsor of the show, Underdog Fantasy. If you guys have not tried it out, you are missing out. We talk about it each and every day. I've used Underdog Fantasy ever since its inception, basically. One of my favorite platforms to play fantasy on. So not going to sit here and spout about a program, a company that I don't believe in. An Underdog doing it the right way. Tons of different bets or ways to bet, ways to play fantasy. There's best ball drafts. There's prop drafts where you can really 5, 10, 20x your money. Tons of ways to play, as little as $1 all the way up to the high stakes. So here's what you need to go. Go and download the app. Use our promo code WSN, as in Woodward Sports Network. That's going to get you $10 free on a $10 deposit. Again, great way to thank them. Great way to help out our show as well as we try to launch this thing here at Woodward Bets. Grateful to have a sponsor like Underdog Fantasy on board. So go check it out today. Underdog Fantasy, promo code WSN. Also, the network, make sure you're following them at Woodward Sports and give our page again a follow on Twitter at Woodward Bets. Now, Scott, big pregame show as well. The Woodward Sports team are going to be out and about. They're going to be at the Hopcat in East Lansing, going to start at about 10 a.m. there and go until noon. So not only that, you also have, I don't know if you heard this, Reggie Bush come out and say, anybody that comes to the game and has a Detroit Lions Reggie Bush number 21, Scott, I'm going to guess you have one in that closet somewhere. He will autograph your jersey for you. So interesting Saturday here. You got Hopcat with the Woodward Sports team. You got Reggie Bush in town. Are you making the pilgrimage to East Lansing this weekend?
You know, I kind of thought about it, but it looks like there's a chance for some rain, and it might be a little cold that morning, a little windy. So I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to keep my eye on the weather. It does sound like a lot of fun, though. I mean, but I will say though, Chris, that's about maybe about an hour ride for me. And you know, hey, if I go out to the Hopcat, I'm gonna want to try some of them vodka Bloody Marys. I'm gonna want to have some Modelo's. I'm gonna want to try some different beers. And that's a long way from home, though. You know, that's I like to be safe when I like to drink. So that's a little bit outside my Uber range, to be honest. So not quite sure if I'm going to make it out there, but I have thought about it. So we're going to see. I may get out there, but sounds like a lot of fun. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So make sure you join the Woodward Sports team out there again. Hopcat 10 to 12 in East Lansing, getting you all ready for the game. Scott, let's transition to the NFL. Let's talk some minor news here. On Thursday, we saw a rare trade happen in the NFL. You don't see a lot of it. Mark Ingram was traded back to the New Orleans Saints. Kind of a surprise here to see him land back with the Saints, but we know they've been looking for that compliment to Alvin Kamara, so they're going to try to go back to the future here with Mark Ingram. So thoughts on this trade? Do we pick up Mark Ingram? How does it affect Alvin Kamara? Just what general thoughts on this deal here with Mark Ingram going back to New Orleans?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. If I'm an Alvin Kamara owner, I'm a little bit upset, maybe even a little bit concerned, even as well, because we saw when he was there, he just kind of steals his touchdowns in the red zone. You know, so you know, are we going to see that happen again, where they're going to use that thunder and lightning type? Well, I think that's what they called it back then, the thunder and the lightning or something like that. But, you know, so, hey, I even think he can play this week if I'm not mistaken, from
Correct.
what I understand. Yep. So he can even roll it out there this week. So, you know, being a Kamara owner, I think that's where I do have him on a few of my teams out there. So when I saw that, I was just like, oh, come on. Looks like now we're going to have to rely on Kamara to score outside the 20-yard line, because they're probably just going to hand it to Ingram, I would assume, inside that red zone. So that's the part. But the other thing I kind of giggled at, was following around on Twitter, and the way I found out about it, Brandon Cooks was not happy. He tweeted something out about it. I believe a little bit of displeasure. So I can only imagine. I kind of took note to that, because that's the best player over there. He's unhappy. I can only imagine inside that locker room is probably it's probably not a good scene, especially hearing that Mr. Watson might get traded, and who knows what's going to go on there. But yeah, so I think that Houston team is definitely in some turmoil there. So team that I'm going to probably be following around, and I'm still in a couple of survivor pools and stuff. So they're obviously a team I like to look at, and them, the Jets, and see who I'm going to pick that week. But yeah, I we'll see what happens though.
So I bet you there's some teams that picked up the phone as soon as they saw that Brandon Cooks tweet and said, "Oh, let's see if we can make a call." And my Packers could certainly use some help at wide receiver. They called me this morning to try to get me to fly down to Arizona, but Scott, I said, "No, we got to do Woodward bets. So we got to have our priorities." So hung up my wide receiver cleats a long time ago. That old '86 jersey is probably not going to fit anymore these days, but. Cooks could be another guy that could be on the move. So there's certainly teams that could use this help. As far as the whole, there it is. There's the tweet. So basically called it BS, called it a joke. So you gotta feel for the guy. You know, being in Houston right now is probably not a pleasant experience. You mentioned the whole Watson disaster. Obviously good friends with Mark Ingram, so you trade him away. We've seen other guys leave there. So would not shock me to see him kind of shopped around and see. Obviously, there's contract stuff and who can pick up his salary, but interesting. As far as the whole Ingram Kamara thing, I'm going to disagree a little bit with you. I think the touchdowns for sure. The guy was always a thorn in the side, but Kamara is not the guy you want to give 20, 25, 30 touches to, which is what we've seen over the last few weeks. I mean, he's not a big workhorse type back. In fact, I think they're going to utilize him more as a wide receiver now. They're very thin at that position. We know without Michael Thomas, there's just not much there for them to throw the ball to. So if they can use him in the slot, and it's really where he's made his hay, is catching the football, getting him out in space, letting him do his thing, I think we start to see more of that with Ingram as more of the between the tackles guy, taking those 15 or so carries. So I think it'll actually help him. Does it hurt him in the touchdown department? Yes. But I think we start to see the receptions really start to pile up again like we've seen in years past. So all in all, I think it's a positive for Alvin Kamara. So I would not panic. As far as Ingram goes, I definitely think he's worth an ad now. He looked pretty good in his time with Houston. He's certainly a guy, Scott, I wrote off. But to see him on a new squad, a much better team, pretty good offensive line there, I think you got to be interested there in Mark Ingram. So other news, we had Rob Gronkowski returning to practice, limited fashion here, so we'll see if he's able to return. The Giants, we still have a lot up in the air with them. Saquon Barkley, they're saying he's optimistic that he can come back to practice tomorrow. We'll see if that's true. Kadarius Toney, Kenny Galladay, kind of the same. We may see them back at practice. Julio Jones with the Titans, big game in Indianapolis this weekend. Still sitting as of today with that hamstring injury. So if he misses Friday, that's usually a bad sign for him. DeAndre Hopkins expected to play tonight, and we know Devontae Adams, Alan Lazard, and Marquez Valdes-Scantling will remain out tonight. Those are the first two. Obviously, dealing with COVID, Adams officially ruled out a few hours ago. So it's quite the injury report there, Scott. What stands out about it? We're going to get into Thursday Night Football here in a second, but anything I didn't cover there or anything in that injury report that you find interesting?
Yeah, obviously tonight, that big game, that's a huge deal for the Packers to be without that wide receiving core. So we're going to have to see. Obviously, Tanyan, as we mentioned yesterday, and Cobb, they're going to be in some pretty good spots here this week. But, yeah, like I said, the Packers are 6-0 without Devontae Adams. But, going on to take on a now J.J. Watt-less Arizona Cardinal defense. Understand he's going for some surgery. So, it should be a good game either way. Both these teams are really good. I think Kyler Murray is, obviously a special talent. Aaron Rodgers is future Hall of Famer, of course. And both teams are 6-1 against the spread. So, we always say great teams win, good teams win, great teams cover. And both those two have been doing it so far. But like we said, the trains are going to collide. I'm just kind of disappointed we don't get Devontae Adams, to be truthful. I would have liked to seen this game at full strength matchup and really see, because I think this could be a playoff preview.
I really was looking forward to this game as well. Clearly, I'm a Green Bay fan, and going into this game, I thought it was a great barometer to see where we're at. Green Bay started out that the first week against New Orleans. It was like, oh boy, is this going to be a long season? They've really responded and reeled off 6 wins in a row from that point. Like you mentioned, both teams have been very good against the spread, and Arizona arguably been the best team in all of football here, still sitting undefeated. So Does Green Bay have a chance? Sure. But without their best weapon offensively, it makes it that much harder. So we're going to get into that here a moment. In fact, let's go to that game right now, Scott. We got it up on the board here. Arizona all the way up to 6.5-point favorites here. A total sitting at 50.5. So a couple trends before we get into things. Actually, got a lot of trends to go to. We know Arizona 5-0 against the spread in their last 5, so really on a roll. 4-0 against the spread in their last 4, following against the spread win. 4-0 against the spread in their last 4 if they're scoring more than 30 points in their previous game, which they seem to do every single week. This offense really playing well. The under 4-0 in Green Bay's last 4 overall. Under also 4-0 in Green Bay's last 4 against following it against the spread win. The over 5-0 though in Green Bay's last 5 as an underdog. The over also 5-0 in their last 5 as a road underdog. So we kind of have some totals battling each other. The over under, some under trends, some over trends. Let's just general synopsis of this game. Obviously, Adams hurts him not being in there. We're going to get into some of the plays in DFS. Who are the guys you need to know? You got to go way down the depth chart. Some guys you probably never heard of here, but general thoughts on this game, Scott. I'm still excited about it. Still going to watch it. Still going to pull for my team. We'll see about a best bet later on in the show, but general thoughts here on this game with Green Bay and Arizona.
Well, from my research, it looks like, I mean, the Cardinals are struggling against the run. So I really think that if the Packers are going to have a chance here, I think Aaron Jones is going to have to really have a pretty good game tonight. I mean, obviously it's easy to say with the wide receivers missing, but, it's not like it's a matchup to where they're playing somebody like Tampa or somebody that's really good against the run. I mean, so if you want to say the Cardinals do have a weakness, it has been their run defense. So maybe we get Aaron Jones to light it up tonight, keep that Arizona offense off the field, and Kyler Murray and Hopkins and the boys. So we'll see what happens. But I really think I'm going to be looking at like in some showdown and some stuff like that. I think really the whole key of the game, I think, for the Packers is going to be Aaron Jones.
Yeah, I like that call for sure. He's going to have to be more involved in the passing game. So, does that mean we get more A.J. Dillon here in this game? We'll see about that. You mentioned Arizona against the run. They've actually been good and not allowing a ton of fantasy points to opposing running backs this season. So, as far as the Green Bay receivers go, right now, I mean, Randall Cobb is pretty much their wide receiver 1 here in this game. And then you have guys like Equanimous St. Brown, Malik Taylor, who we saw activated the other day. Amari Rodgers could play a role here. So those are the names that you need to know. Some you're familiar with, some you probably never heard of. I also think, Scott, this could be a Robert Tonyan game here tonight. We know Rodgers really trusts him. He's great around the red zone, scored a ton of touchdowns last season. We haven't seen that connection as much this season, but the targets have certainly been there. So I think Big Bob Tonyan could be an interesting play here tonight.
Yeah, I like him as well. I think, it seems like when, just from past memory, it just seems like whenever Rodgers wants to focus on Tonyan, he focuses on him. And it seems like that's a focal point, and the guy goes off and it's like he's this boomer bust kind of guy. And I think in this type situation, I think that's, especially if he's got a mismatch there, height mismatch, whatever else, especially the red zone. I could see him getting, those first down type catches, 5 yards and those red zone type catches. I could see them, Rodgers looking for him and being one of his first looks. I would assume that to be the case. And you may agree with me here. I just always felt like Aaron Rodgers, especially, you watch him with Devontae Adams and other guys like that. It's like if you're not in his circle of trust, his trust circle, he just, unless he absolutely has to throw it to you, he won't throw it to you. And he's stubborn enough just to pretty much kind of Michael Jordan you and not throw you the ball. Like, I kind of get that vibe from him. So that's where I kind of look at, we know he likes Cobb and we know he likes Tonyan. So I really think those guys are in a good spot. And that's why I kind of feel as if Aaron Jones is going to be in a good spot. I really think Aaron Rodgers is the kind of quarterback. He's not like a Tom Brady or, Tannehill, like, well, they'll just throw it to anybody open. They're reading the progression. It's like Rodgers is only going to throw the guys he wants to throw to, and that's it. So I don't know if you feel the same way, but me kind of watching him for all these years, I just feel like he never threw it to those guys that were his third, receivers. He always focused on maybe 2 guys, and that was it.
Yeah, he definitely is one of those, stubborn bleep where, he focuses on the guys he likes. And if you make a mistake, you're pretty much done for the day. So the good point is he's always had kind of control over what wide receivers that they have. I mean, he basically said, bring Randall Cobb back or I'm leaving, which was very random. But yeah, so for me, guys like Equinemius St. Brown has been around for a few years now. Malik Taylor's a guy that's bounced back and forth from the practice squad onto the active roster. So these are guys that clearly have gained his trust at some point, and I don't think he really has a choice here. So tonight, I think the guy Cobb, Tunyon, these guys are going to be popular because these are the guys that people know. They're going to look to click on Malik Taylor. They're going to see no stats. It's going to make them very nervous. Or Equinemius St. Brown. To me, one of those two guys is going to be the key to Showdown here tonight. And going into Showdown, I think you want to leave a lot of money on the table. I mean, some of these guys are so cheap. So people are going to have the same lineups. They're going to take one or two of these super cheap sub $1,000 guys, and then they're going to load up on all of the expensive guys. So if you want to get different, I think leaving money on the table is a big way to do that tonight, Scott.
Yeah, that's always a really good way of being different. That's one of my favorite moves, and then really in Showdown, it doesn't even matter. You could leave 3,000-4,000 on the table. I wouldn't say get much more higher than crazier than that. But I think one of the biggest mistake DFS players make is they make a team they like, they look at their salary left, and then what do we all do? We make a change. And then that change burns us every time. I mean, it just never fails. So I've kind of learned that sometimes when I get to that point, and if it's not an expensive type tournament or whatever I'm in, Chris, I'll tell you what, I'll put in two teams and just play both guys because then you got it covered. You're not going to be frustrated about it. But yeah, I think that's a big mistake we all make, and I think that's a great point to definitely leave some money on the table tonight because we are going to have some cheap guys.
I do the same thing. If you're torn between two guys, I'll just make two lineups and play them both, and then you don't have to worry about it, especially once you find your core, which should be a part of every lineup that you build, not only in Showdown, really finding a couple guys that you like. We talk about the same thing with betting. Try not to spread yourself too thin and try to play the whole player pool or every single game, or it's not the way to do it. Find your core, mix and match different pieces in with it. Same thing applies in Showdown tonight. So should be an interesting game nonetheless with this play. So favorite captain play tonight, Scott? Anyone standing out at that captain spot you want to jam in there?
Well, if I'm on FanDuel, I'm probably just going to jam in Aaron Jones. I think that would be my play. On DK, I'm going to fool with it a little bit because the salary's a little different with the 1.5 times up there at the captain spot. But I think it's going to be interesting, especially with the low price guys. But as I always say, Showdown, make sure your team tells the story and what you feel and how the game's going to go, how the game flow is going to go, and try to correlate it all together and make sure it all makes sense to you. But I definitely do like Hopkins tonight. I think Hopkins is a pretty decent play tonight. So, like you said, though, there's a lot of cheap guys. So a lot of guys are going to jam in a lot of these high price players. But I would probably try to build my team and make sure I at least get both quarterbacks in my team in some sort of fashion. I think there's cheap enough guys to do so. But Kyler Murray is almost like a quarterback / running back in himself. So I definitely would not fade Kyler Murray. So the question to me would be if I'm going to fade Rodgers or not. But I'm probably not going to do so. But I think I'm going to try to build a team with the two quarterbacks for sure.
Yeah, on FanDuel, it's almost like you have to have the two quarterbacks. DraftKings, you can kind of get away with it to other spots. So another key to me tonight, I think everyone's going to be focused on these Green Bay pieces and mixing the Cobbs and the Tunyons and Aaron Jones and Equinemius into their lineup. I think people are going to forget about some of these Arizona pieces, the A.J. Greens and Chase Edmonds and Zach Ertz and guys like that. So those to me are guys that I really want to work in a lot more than the field is going to work in. Some of the ownership looks a little low on a lot of these guys. So those are some of my favorites, even a Christian Kirk. I mean, those Arizona receivers, you never know who it's going to be. We've seen them all at big games, including Rondale Moore. So I want to mix and match a few of those guys paired up with Kyler Murray and hope you hit the guy with 2 touchdowns. So that's kind of the route that I'm going to go here tonight with that Arizona team. Not just folk. I love Hopkins, love Kyler Murray, no doubt, but some of these other guys I think are going to be forgotten about here tonight. So
Yep.
any other bets that we like out of this game? The first touchdowns, anything that's standing out on that side of things, Scott?
You did mention, I do like for one, I like Aaron Jones rushing total tonight. I want to say it's around 58, 59, 57-ish, somewhere around there. I really like that rushing prop is over rushing yards. And then I think I play like, you mentioned some of these Arizona guys here. I'm going to be looking around. I think you can probably get some decent totals on a guy like Rondale Moore, a guy like Christian Kirk. We saw Ertz score a touchdown. Looks like Kyler Murray may have found himself a new toy, obviously, after he's been traded there. So, I think I'm going to look at, though, my bet so far at this point is the Aaron Jones rushing total. I think that's my favorite at this point.
Yeah, that one looks good. I agree. Again, Arizona been pretty solid against the run, but you got to imagine Aaron Jones going to get a big workload here. So, not a ton of props. I was looking through them earlier. I didn't see a ton that I liked. You kind of got to let the dust settle too. Some of these injuries. Marquez Valdes-Scantling. They just kind of announced a little while ago that he would miss the game. So, just trying to see what the adjustments are. If I can grab some cheap Green Bay props on some of these receivers. I like that for sure, and I don't hate that Jones call. So we'll have our best bets at the end of the show. Definitely have some NFL bets. But, Scott, let's go to the NBA now. 6 games in the association tonight. Again, red hot on these NBA bets. 3-0 last night, 9-1 over our last 10. So we'll continue that. We'll give you some best bets here coming up on the end of the show here shortly. But let's talk DFS here tonight in the NBA. Obviously, on the high end, a lot of studs on this slate. So I think a lot of people are going to go with these stars and scrubs approach here. You got guys like Luka, John Morant playing well, Trae Young, Steph Curry. So Joel Embiid, we'll see if he goes tonight. And then there's a lot of value as well. Memphis, I know, has been a pivotal point of value with guys like Melton, Desmond Bane, Reggie Bullock playing a lot of minutes for Dallas, along with Dwight Powell. Montrezl Harrell remains too cheap with Washington. So thoughts on the NBA DFS slate tonight? A couple plays that you're eyeing up here on Thursday night.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of looking around, there's Luka's in play again today, even though he's been kind of struggling a little bit. But I do like Luka. He and Joel Embiid tonight. Obviously, we're gonna against the Pistons. We're gonna have to see and be sure he's in. He's been binged up a little bit, but I do kind of expect him to go. And then Tobias Harris is interesting to me as well. But I do like some Joel Embiid tonight against the Pistons.
Yeah, I mean, that Pistons interior is certainly vulnerable to a guy like Embiid. We'll see if he's able to give it a go tonight. He's a guy that always seems to be on the injury report, and we know no Ben Simmons. So if he does miss, Tobias Harris becomes almost a must play, especially in your cash game. So no other major injuries right now, just guys that have been out. The questionables are obviously Embiid, Zach LaVine, but sounds like he's going to give it a go here. And then we got to keep an eye on Kristaps Porzingis if they sit him on a back-to-back. So those are the big ones that we're eyeing up here. As far as DFS plays, I really like Harrell for value. I mean, Washington is a team that's going to run him out there for a ton of minutes. We know the upsides there. I've always said this guy per minute has always been so productive, just never been given a full allotment of minutes. He's going to be super popular in your tournaments. So cash games, I think he's a lock. Tournaments, I think you can certainly look elsewhere. I really like Desmond Bane with Washington, another guy playing extremely well, playing a ton of minutes, again, along with Melton. And then a value play I really like tonight is Lonnie Walker of the Spurs. So as far as bets go, Scott, let's go right to our best bet segment here to finish off the show. Again, we got NBA, we got NFL, no MLB. We get a little bit of break here tonight. But best bets for tonight, Scott, what do you got?
I was looking around. We got to stay hot. We got to keep it rolling. But I think tonight my best bet is going to be the Chicago Bulls at home tonight, giving 1.5 to New York. So I'm going to roll with the Bulls. 2-0 at home. They're 4-0 against the spread so far. So I hope they keep it rolling. And that's my bet for the night.
All right. Anything in the football game that you want to cover here tonight? best bet wise? I know you're on Aaron Jones. Anything else?
Well, as far as the football game, I got a slight lean if I had to. I mean, if I wanted to bet on the game tonight, I think I would bet on the under in the first half. I do like that. I think what'll happen is as the game goes on, I think it may open up a little bit more, but I think it's going to take a few minutes for Green Bay to kind of figure out their offense and what's kind of going on, especially without their big main horse, obviously, who gets a big, huge lion's shares of those targets. So I'm just going to kind of go with the under there. I really think both teams have a decent defense. Arizona's getting Jones back, even though Watt's out. I mean, we know Alexander for the Packers has been out, and you guys are missing your top pass rusher, I believe, too. So, but
Darius,
still,
yep.
I just think though that I think the under here in the first half is something that I've kind of been eyeing up.
All right, I'm going to give 4 best bets here for tonight, so we'll see if we can continue the hot streak. I'm going with the Cardinals tonight. I hate to say it. I'm never going to be a homer again. I'm going to be rooting for my team. If I place this bet, Green Bay wins. Hey, you lose a little bit of money, but your team wins. If your team loses, hey, you win a little bit of money. So I like Arizona minus the 6.5 here. I just think that offense is going to be tough to stop. You mentioned a lot of defensive pieces missing for Green Bay. You're missing Devontae Adams. So I'm going to go with Arizona. NBA, I got 3 for you guys here tonight. I'm going to go over in this Pistons Philadelphia game. So I almost took the Pistons on the spread, Scott, but I'm gonna leave that one alone. But I do like the over. 212 is the best number I can find. You can find that one at FanDuel or DraftKings right now. PointsBet also has a 212. So over in that game, I'm going to continue my trend of New York Knicks unders. I'm going under 216 in the Knicks Bulls game. Now, Chicago off to a red hot 4-0 start, but the Knicks defensively are one of those teams I tend to avoid bigger numbers on. So under 216 in that one. And then a spread bet for you. I'm going Utah here, laying the 9.5 against Houston. The Rockets are absolutely terrible. I think Utah trucks them in this matchup. So you can find that 9.5 at almost every book I could find. So those are my best bets for tonight. Again, recap: Arizona Cardinals minus the 6.5. I'm going Utah minus 9.5 in the NBA, under 216 in the Chicago and New York Knicks game, and over 212 in the Pistons and Philadelphia game. Scott, final thoughts for the people here Thursday night. What do you got?
Man, you guys better be getting in on them NBA bets. I mean, we're hot. That's some extra lunch money for tomorrow. But as we always say, make sure you guys gamble responsibly. Have some fun with it. But yeah, if you guys ever got any questions or anything, make sure you hit us up. We're always glad to help out. But get over there, follow our Twitter pages and all that fun stuff. And obviously, we'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully, we got some more good news for everybody.
Absolutely. So a big Thursday night in sports. I'm excited to check out all the action. So again, follow us at Woodward Bets on Twitter. Send us your sit-start questions. We'll cover those tomorrow on the show. We've had some good ones over the last couple weeks. So those perplexing questions, let us settle the debate for you. Again, we'll do that tomorrow. We'll recap everything we saw tonight. Tonight, in the NBA and the NFL. We'll continue our look at the NFL spreads, injuries, and tip closer to that Michigan State game on Saturday. So busy times here at Woodward Bets. We want to thank you guys all for listening. We want to thank the sponsor of the show as well, Underdog Fantasy. Make sure you guys head over there. Use our promo code WSN. Again, $10 free on a $10 deposit. For Scott, for our boy Easy, producing the show behind the glass, I am Beer. We are Woodward Bets. Thank you for listening. Good luck in your bets tonight. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.